We are the champions, my friends. Let's talk about the best books of 2023. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessie, and today I'm here to talk about my best books of 2023. I'm very excited. This is my favorite video to film at the beginning of every year, and I know some people post their best books a little early, like in December. I purposely wait till the end of the year to film this because you never know what might sneak in, and I'm very excited to talk about them. I've got pretty much a good healthy mix of thrillers and romances, so let's talk about them. All right, coming in at number 10, it is Sherry Lapinia's Everyone Here Is Lying. Now, this is a 4-star. I had a lot more 5 stars throughout the year, but this is one that definitely stuck out to my memory, and I really enjoyed this one. Honestly, I could bump it up to a 5-star, but I think I'm sticking with a 4. I actually did a whole reading vlog on this one. I'm going to leave it down below in case you're interested, but here's the thumbnail in case you want to go watch it. But in that video, I actually read this book entirely, and it was one of those I just picked up on a whim, and I just absolutely devoured this one in such a short period of time. So I've read Sherry Lapinia's first 3 books, and then after the 3rd one, I kind of stopped reading them. But because I enjoyed this one, I kind of want to go back in and read more of her backlist. So this one is about a young girl who goes missing, and right before she went missing, her and her dad had a huge altercation, and everyone kind of thinks maybe the dad may have had something to do with it. Also, he is having an affair with another married woman, so there's that whole mess. It is just so good. If you love domestic drama and thrillers, this is really good. And it has a really good plot twist in the middle, and I feel like how the ending wrapped up was just chef's kiss. All right, coming in at number 9, this one and probably the next one are going to be very not everyone's going to agree with my opinions on the next 2 books. But at number 9, I actually don't own the physical copy because I read it on my Kindle, and I just ate this up. I think I read it within like 12 hours. It was so good, and it was just like such a bingeable read, and that is Don't Go Down There by Kirsten Modulin. This one, again, was so fast paced. I was like, what is happening? The audiobook's really good. I love Kirsten Modulin's writing style. Like, she just has such a good, like, bingeable popcorn thriller vibe to her. Not all of them are going to be winners. Like, I've had 1 stars all the way to 5 stars with her, but this one I just really enjoyed. It's super short, like under 300 pages. This one is about a woman who goes home and can't find her husband, and kind of is like, what is going on? And she finds her husband in the house, but he's keeping a deep, dark secret down in the basement, and she goes down there and finds out what's going on, and she is now part of his web of lies. So this one is so good. Highly recommend Kirsten Modulin altogether, but this one was my favorite of the year. All right, I already know I'm going to get some eye rolls or some comments about this one, but you know what? I loved it. I devoured it. It was also one of my book club picks. You Shouldn't Have Come Here by Geneva Rose. This one, you're either going to love it or hate it. Like, there is no in between. Well, I guess because I know my friend Lena, I think she ended up giving this one 3 stars, but like, she did not know how to feel about it. And honestly, that's one of the main reasons why I loved this one, is because it's one of those thrillers that you honestly just can't take seriously, but it was so good. And I'm shocked it's on this list because I predicted the ending. So this was a Sleep When I'm Dead book club pick. This one was for the month of, I believe April, or no, it was for the month of May, and it was with Summer from Seasons Readings. We buddy read this one together, and we like theorized like what was happening, and yeah, it was just such a fun time. I feel like also people who gave this one a low rating still said they had a fun time reading it, so it's just an interesting book. So this one is about a woman who is going on like a solo trip. She does this Airbnb like on this like ranch or farm, and the Airbnb owner also lives there, and the last person that was in his home is now missing, and she's going to continue staying there, and there's just so many red flags. And there's also like this romantic chemistry between the two, so it's just like, what is happening? Like, red flags are just waving in the wind. But I love this one. Also, I'm going to give this one, not that there's an official title, this is my favorite cover in like book combo because I love the cover. But look at that. Switching it over to a romance, I have Set on You by Amy Lee. This is actually book 1 in the influencer romance series. We actually did X's and O's, which is book 2, for the X's and O's readathon, which may be coming. But after reading X's and O's, because you don't have to read them in order, I went back and read this one, and I loved this one so much better. Like, I felt like this one was a little bit more of a serious type of romance that had like a lot more depth than cutesy fluffy stuff. I loved this one. I know book 3 is coming out, I believe, at the beginning of 2024, so I'm very excited to read that one. But this one is about, oh my gosh, Crystal. She is a curvy influencer, like fitness influencer, and she meets this guy at the gym. They kind of don't get along, but then over time they start getting along, you know what I mean? And so I loved the couple. I think the romance was really cute. I felt like this was very body positive for anyone to read. So I highly recommend you pick this one up if you were interested. Okay, I would say I'm not surprised that he's on this list, but his past book was on a different list, if you catch my drift. But I have Riley Sager, The Only One Left. This was such a relief that he is back to writing a good story, because House Across the Lake, it's still my favorite 1-star read, but this one was definitely a comeback for me. Like, this is the classic Riley Sager that I am used to, and I just love this one. I felt like it was Riley Sager, big fan over here, glad to have you back. This one was such a wild ride and very different. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like each book he writes is just so different, but like similar at the same time, and I'm just glad to have read this one and put it on this list. This one is, well, first of all, it is about a woman like back in like the 20s, I believe. Yeah, 1929, Lenora Hope. Here's the rhyme, basically. This will explain Lenora's backstory. 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister from a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one who isn't dead. So that's Lenora's backstory. Then set in the 80s, you have Kid, who is basically going to be Lenora's like at-home nurse because Lenora can't take care of herself. And yeah, there's a creepy typewriter. You kind of get to know what really happened, like flashbacks and stuff like that. Also creepy seaside manor that's literally hanging off the cliff. So great setting, great characters, great story. Number 6. All right, coming in at number 5, this one was a complete shock to me because this is one that I saw on NetGalley so many times and I just never looked into it, showed no interest. I kept seeing the cover, and then once it was published, I kept hearing people talking about it, so I decided to pick up my own copy, and now it is number 5 on the top 10 list. So number 5 is The Quiet Tenant, and I loved this book. I feel like I've been talking about it quite a bit, and I feel like if you are interested in kind of darker thrillers, like if you're sensitive to like dark thrillers or dark material, I would kind of stray away from this one. But if that doesn't bother you, this is one that you need to pick up. Also, my friend Gwen told me that the author is actually from France, and it's been one of her dreams to write a book in English. And honestly, I am the worst when it comes to translated work. This one, you could not tell, in my opinion. So, of course, I didn't know that going into it, so that probably also helped. But this one is so, so, so good. This one is about a guy who's a serial killer, and yeah, but it follows 3 women's perspectives, plus more. So you have a girl that's falling in love with the serial killer. You have his 13-year-old daughter, I think is how old she is. And then you follow the woman that's locked in a shed. But you also get other like passages or like other like voices of other women that he's had before. So it's just so good. I highly recommend the audiobook. Like, it was so good, like different narrators. Oh, so good. All right, number 4. This one I highly recommend that you pick up on audio because, again, it is so good. It's fully produced, and it is None of This Is True by Lisa Joel. This one, I'm going to tell you the synopsis, and it just doesn't, like, if someone were to tell me this is what this book is about, I'd be like, yeah, no thanks. Honestly, just because it was a book of the month pick and I've heard like really good reviews, that's the only reason why I picked it up. But I don't know how to make the synopsis sound better without spoiling it. And I wouldn't even really know how to spoil it. So this one is about 2 women. I want to say Josie and Alex. They are birthday twins. So they're celebrating their 45th birthday at the same place. They don't know each other. They kind of run into each other and they're like, hey, like, we're birthday twins, you know. And so they go on their merry way, and then Josie makes a point to run into Alex again because Alex is a podcaster and she talks about women's stories. And so Josie approaches her, like, coincidentally, and it was like, hey, I know you do a podcast about women's stories. I have a story that I need to tell the world. Will you do it? And of course Alex is like, sure, whatever. So you're getting like podcast elements. You're also getting Netflix like production clips from like what happened, because apparently this was set in the past and now you're getting like a documentary series. So it's just good. It's wild. I have so many questions specifically about denim. If you know, you know. But yeah, this one was just a wild, crazy ride. Audiobook probably made it go to the next level. I do highly recommend though that you read it physically and listen to the audiobook, because there are some words that aren't mentioned in the audio, but it's basically like setting up the scene specifically with the documentary series of like who's in the room and stuff like that. So highly recommend you hybrid read this. All right, not to spoil anything, but this next one is the #1 thriller of the year. The other 2 were not thrillers. So this book I actually read in January of 2023, and it's just continued all year to be my favorite 5-star read. And I know this book is not meant for everyone. I know everyone's going to have a different opinion about this one, but I specifically am putting this one the highest thriller because I enjoyed this one so much. I immediately got 5-star feelings when I started the book, and I just loved it. And it is What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. 5-star reads. I just absolutely ate the story up. It also reminded me a lot of a true crime event, and I think just comparing them to, and I'm pretty sure this one was heavily influenced by that event. And I don't want to say because it could be a spoiler, but I just absolutely loved this one. I felt like the characters were messy in like the best way, and I hope you pick it up and give it a shot. And if it's not a favorite, that's completely fine, but I think this one was just so good and such a surprise. This is also the author's first adult debut book, so she's written a bunch of like YA horror thrillers, and honestly, I haven't read anything else by this author. I do have her newest one, which was also another book of the month pick. I have that one. It's on my January TBR. I have that link down below if you want to go watch that as well. But I'm very excited to see her continue, and hopefully I just enjoy it as much. But yeah, alrighty. So at #2, I do have a reading vlog with this book. It was part of the back to school readathon. It is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. When I tell you I loved this one, like, I loved this one. Like, I don't normally write or annotate in books. I was highlighting. I don't do that in my books, ever. So I loved this one, and I specifically remember page 112 made me literally like melt. So you have our main character Clementine, and basically her aunt passes away, who she was really close to. She had this New York City apartment, and she decides to go live in that apartment since it's rent-free. And she runs into a guy in the apartment, and the guy was like, oh, like you're on, like leased this apartment out to me. So they're both confused about the whole apartment situation, and come to find out he is actually from the past, 7 years to be exact. So there's that weird like time element, but it's not like sci-fi or anything like that. Like it's not confusing at all. And I remember Liv from Liv's Library was just like, don't focus on how it's working, just go for the ride. And honestly, that was the best advice I can probably give someone else, is just go for the ride, because it's so amazing. So you follow their love story, and it's just so freaking cute. Alrighty, it is time to announce the #1 book of the year for me. And you guys are not gonna believe, and I honestly don't, like, I just can't believe this is #1 for me. And I would have never expected this book ever, specifically in this subcategory, to be #1 on my list. But again, this is why I post my best books after the new year, because you never know when might creep in. It's Nick and Noelle's Christmas playlist. Honestly, is this the best book out of the top 10? Probably not, but like my reactions out of this book and my enjoyment, it is so good. You should know, I am trying really hard to like Christmas romances, but it's so hard because they're so cheesy. But this one, it's so good. Honestly, I think it's because it's not really that Christmassy, in my opinion. Like, this could honestly take place any time of the year, in my opinion, but I loved it. Oh, it's got that friends to lovers trope, which chef's kiss. This one is about Nick, who is getting out of the military, and he comes home. He's got a huge family. He's got 2 sisters, which are what the other books are about, and he's got his best friend Noelle, but he also has this horrible girlfriend, and everyone seems to see that she is horrible except Nick. Well, she dumps him after coming back home from the military, and he's kind of heartbroken. But then things start leading to Noelle, who is also trying to make her ex/fling jealous, so they kind of like use each other to like get back at these people, but they also start falling for each other, and it's just so freaking cute. And I feel like it's relatable. Like, I related to Noelle a lot through this one, and I just love this one. If you have not read this one, I mean, don't wait till Christmas, because honestly, it's really not that Christmassy. I do know at the end of the book, there is an actual playlist of everything that's mentioned throughout the book. So, but yeah, loved this one. I've already read book 2. That was actually in 2022. And then I have book 3, which I think I am going to save for Christmas, because I just, knowing that I have an author that I do love in the Christmas romance genre is something I'm going to look forward to. But yeah, this one, I don't know why. This is probably not the best book, but like, I just absolutely loved it and ate this up. And I'm as shocked as you that Christmas romance is #1 on my top 10. Alright guys, that is the top 10 books I read in 2023. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your top book was in the comment section, or let me know if there's any of these books on my top 10 that you're wanting to pick up. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe. It really does help support my channel. Give it a thumbs up, and I guess I'll see you in the worst and most disappointing books of 2023. Bye!
Hello, Ramona. I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost